All right, welcome back to the next video in our Learning Davinci Resolve by Editing Video Game Clips series. And today we're going to talk about putting text on your screen. In Davinci Resolve, these are called titles. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? In your Edit tab, under your Effects library, Toolbox Titles. There are two basic types of titles. You have a text and a fusion title. If it is a basic text, it's going to have a T with an underscore, and if it's a fusion title, it's going to have a lightning bolt beside it. You'll notice Text Plus is in the normal title section and has a lightning bolt beside it. This is new to DaVinci 16, and it is my preferred way to do titles. We will get to it, but first we're going to start with regular text, and we'll see why the Text Plus is better. So for today's clip, we're going to take a little bit of physical violence of two guys kicking a third guy, and we're going to put some Batman type kapows on top. Here is the clip we've got. So just two guys kicking a third, and we're just going to put text on top. So I've already put my markers in my clip. I've got where they start, where the first guy makes contact, where the second guy makes contact, and when it's all said and done. So for our text, we're going to just go to the effects library, click and drag the text in, and start it there. It defaults to a fairly long clip size, so we have to scale it back down. Now, if we go up to the right here, make sure your playhead, by the way, is over top of your text and that you've got text selected. Now, I want to have the text kapow show up. So I'm just going to do ka. And we can't actually see it because it's white and the middle of the screen is white. So I'm going to go down to stroke, which is our outline, and I'm going to set a width of 2. I don't like the default text in text here, or the default font, sorry. I much prefer open sans, so we're going to go select that, and we're going to make it bold. There we go. It's also pretty small. Let's make it 250. Nice and big. Okay. Now you'll notice some of these have keyframes beside them, which means if I can click that and then I can animate that. The text itself is not one of those things. So if I want to have the words ka and then pow later, I have to copy and paste this. Now I'm going to, there we go. And now I can have ka pow. There's not a lot I can animate with this, but there are a couple of things. I can move it around and I can zoom for the size, but I can't actually change the size itself. So we get around that by using Text Plus. Now, Text Plus is a Fusion title. It is a very, very simplified Fusion title, but it still uses a lot of your computer resources. So you're going to want to go up to playback, proxy mode, and set to half or even quarter resolution. You might want off just while you're getting the look of it right, but once you're playing through and you want to see it go, you're going to want it at half or quarter resolution. And if I remember, I'll show that later. So here, if you notice, we've got a lot more things that we can keyframe, but I don't have that stroke thing. I can't outline this right away. That's because a lot of that formatting stuff is hidden here under this paintbrush called shading. So, and this is done through elements. Now this starts to get really complicated, but if you want to do an outline, you want to select elements. You're going to go to element 2, enable it. Now by default, it gives you a red outline. Why DaVinci chose red as the default, I will never know. If somebody knows how to change these defaults so that I can always have it go to black, please leave a comment. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so now I've got my thing how I want it to look. I'm going to go to the start. I'm going to put my ka in, and I'm going to keyframe that. Now I'm going to go to where I want it to change to pow, keyframe it again, and change the text. And now, as we move through, it just switches over. Now we've got all these things we can keyframe. So let's play with that a little bit. I'm going to keyframe the size, and I'm going to make this kind of pop into existence. So we're going to go a couple of frames in, keyframe it, and then we're going to go back to the very start. I'm going to set the size to 0.5. So it's going to start really small, and it's going to grow as we come in. And then when it switches to POW, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keyframe it here, and I'm going to make it 0.35. Oops. Make it nice and big. Then I'm going to go right to the end, and I'm going to make it really small again. So now what's going to happen is as we play through, we can see it. Okay. If we just play this in its entirety. There we go. Like I said, there's a lot of things you can play with in here. There's a lot, way too much to go through in a short video. So I'm going to leave that for you to play with on your own. Big thing is that if you want to make the text fancier, it's the shading tab and shading your different elements. By the way, you can also do things like make the text a gradient. So lots you can do here. Moving on to the Fusion titles, this is where it gets really fancy. I'm just grabbing one at random. Okay, a cinematic. Oh, I'm going to shorten this down to the size. Okay, wow. Does all sorts of stuff there. Cinematic headline on a smoky background. And now you can see that all the controls for these things are actually grouped into their own thing. Each of the Fusion titles have their own set of controls. So first text controls, is that. Second set, etc. Got the background here. There's probably some way to make this background more transparent. You can certainly change the colors of it. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I just grabbed it randomly. But what I do want to do is show you how slowly that plays at full resolution. Did you see that? Did you see how it kind of chunked around there? Now, if I go to proxy mode, half resolution, it's a little better. Quarter resolution, it's a little better still. Now, it is also going to render it and hold it in memory. So if I play it a couple of times, it might get better. Might not. Generally speaking, if I'm working with text, I will set it to half resolution. So that's it. I mean, this is short and sweet. Putting text on your screen isn't hard, or it shouldn't be hard. Go out, play with this, have fun. And as always, if you found this useful, please click like and leave a comment to any videos you make using what you learned here today. Thanks. Have a great day. Cheers, guys.